Hello again everybody, and welcome to the fourth revision video part for the online world. It's a big old unit, got plenty of things to do for it, and we are going to try and cover every single thing that you need to know as part of the unit in the videos. So this time it's on the internet itself. So we've talked about online things in general, now we are just talking about the internet itself. So let's have a look. Right, so things we're going to be looking at. What is the internet? So quick definition of that. We're going to be looking at what different parts or what different components make up the internet. We're going to talk about how the internet works. We're going to talk about different connection types. We're going to look at how wired connections match up to wireless connections and the other way around. And we're going to be looking at TCPIP or packet switching as a way of distributing information around the internet. Right, what is the internet? So it is the internet is a network of interconnecting networks. So you'll have a network at home that will then be connected to the internet, which is connected to everybody else's network. And basically it's all of the different computers that are connected to the network, all different devices, all of the wires, all of the web servers, all of the people that provide you the internet, all of the cables in between them. That's all the internet. So it's actually the physical devices. It's not the stuff that you think is on the internet, like web pages. That's something different. That's going to be the World Wide Web, and we'll come to that later. But it's the devices that are all connected together to make up the internet. So every single connection, every single device, all put together, all linked up, each network connected to every other network. That is the internet. So it's an interconnecting network of networks. Okay? So that's the internet itself. So different bits of the internet that you need to know about. So routers or modems. We've talked about that in the Unit 14 ones, I think. I think it's Unit 14, it might be Unit 11. But there's some videos that we can talk about routers in there. But routers are the device that you use to actually connect your machine to the internet. That's what gives you your internet connection. So when you get internet at home, you'll have a router at home that will be the thing that actually connects to the network itself. It will then share the internet around to your house in different ways, depending on how you're going to connect to it. But the router itself, or the modem itself, is what connects your network to the internet over the phone lines, or however you're going to be doing it. Then you have the ISP, or Internet Service Provider. That's who you're with. So my internet connection is with BT, so my ISP is BT. You've got TalkTalk, you've got PlusNet, you've got Sky, you've got all the other ones, but they all basically do the same job. They're the people that give you a connection to the internet. And generally, they will do three things for you. They will give you your internet connection. They will give you access to some email, so they'll let you have some email addresses. And quite often, they'll give you some web space that you can use as well. It's not the nicest web address. It will be like www.bt.com/ loads and loads and loads of those gobbledygook, and then it will eventually get to your page. But it's web space and it's free, and you're not having to pay for it, so that's all good. So that's what they do. So they give you internet, they give you email addresses, and they give you some web space. So that's one ISP, that's the people that you get your internet from, the business that you get your internet from. Then you also have web servers. This is an example of some web servers. Web servers are what store all of the data that's on the internet. So all of the web pages and things like that, they're all going to be, they need to be kept somewhere so you can access them. They are saved on web servers. Sometimes the web server can be in somebody's house, other times it can be in a big factory like this, a big building like this, with many, many different web servers, and businesses hire spaces there. There are some web servers that we'll look at later on when we do Unit 11, which are horrendously big and massively fast and super duper reliable and backup. I think they say something about the fact that over the last 5 years they've had about 2 seconds of downtime in the time they've been working. So it's ridiculous stuff. But the important thing is that you know that web servers are where you save the data that goes on to the internet, the actual World Wide Web itself. Connection types. So you can connect to the internet in different ways. You can do it with a wired connection. which case you're using broadband, which is what most people have got, or you're using dial-up. Dial-up is a bit old hat now, very, very slow connection, and it's when you actually have a modem that actually dials a number on your phone line. So it doesn't just use your phone line like broadband does. Broadband works on a different frequency, so you can make a phone call at the same time as using your broadband. If you use dial-up, you can't. You dial up, you actually phone an internet service provider, and they give you some internet connection through that. But it's very, very slow, takes a long time to connect, generally costs more as well. But not everywhere has access to broadband, so maybe if you're in a particularly like a lower developed country or something like that, you may be using a dial-up system. Broadband, as I said, is what most of us have got, so nice and fast, depending on what kind of broadband you've got. You may have fibre optic, which is the fastest broadband, the super fast broadband that they call it. You might just have normal copper wires for standard broadband, which is normally about 17 megabits a second. Wired stuff can go up to, or cable stuff can go up to about 100 gigabits a second. But I will talk more about megabits a second and that kind of stuff later on in the video. Or you could do it wirelessly, in which case you're looking at either networks on your mobile phone, where you're using the mobile phone towers to connect you to, and you're getting your signal from there. Or if you're really in the middle of nowhere, you might be using satellite networks. So if you're in the Congo doing a jungle expedition, then you might be using a satellite network. If you're somewhere where there is no habitation or no broadband cables and there's no mobile signal, then that's when you would use satellite networks. So normally people have a wired network for their house. You might have a mobile network on your mobile phone that you use when you're out and about, and if you're out and about in the middle of nowhere and there was no other way of getting any information to you, that you need to have the internet, then you probably use a satellite network. And this is talking about how you actually connect to the internet, not necessarily how your device then connects to the device that's connected to the internet. So what I mean by that is you may use Wi-Fi at home and think, well, that's a wireless connection. But it's not, because what you're doing is you're connecting to the internet with a broadband modem that's wired, and then you connect to that broadband modem in a wireless way. So that's slightly different. So that's not a wireless connection itself, because your actual connection to the internet is through a broadband router. That's wired, and then that's your internet connection. That's all you need to worry about. After that, the way that it shares it out to you, whether that's by a cable or by a wireless link, doesn't make any difference to the connection type at this point. So, wired and wireless networks, what's good about them, what's bad about them? So, bandwidth. This is all about the speed that your information can go to and from the internet. So the higher your bandwidth, the faster you can download stuff off the internet, the faster you can upload things to the internet. That's a measure of the speed. Now you can have some broadband speed testers. I'm going to bring one up now. It might take a while, so it might go into high speed for this little bit, but we'll see how we go on. So, speed test. Let's link onto this page. Hopefully it will come up. There we go. Anytime. So, start your speed test now. So, testing three things. The response time, so that's how quickly when you send a request it comes back to you. Then we've got the amount of time or the speed that your network connects to the internet. So this is how fast you can download stuff, and this is how fast you can upload stuff. So this is how fast you get stuff from the internet, and this is how fast you can send stuff to the internet. So, strange enough, I'm about the only person in the college at the moment because it's in the middle of the summer holidays and I don't go on holiday for a couple of days. So the download speed is pretty damn quick. That's very, very fast. Super fast broadband from BT is about 100 megabits a second, and we're working on 350 nearly, so that's pretty good. So, upload speed test. Just go and start that now. Here we go. This is generally slower, yeah. So upload speed is normally around about half of your download speed. So you can get things off the internet quite quickly. It takes a bit more time to send things to the internet. That's still really fast though. So that's pretty good. That's a good example. If you get things like this at home, you have a wonderful internet connection, and I'll be very generous. So, we talked about the upload and the download speed. So that was how fast you can get information from and to the internet. And everything in there was in megabits per second. So a bit is a single unit of data in a computer. So whenever you see really, really basic computer code, you know, it's in binary zeros and ones, all of that kind of stuff. So a bit is just one of those digits, 1 0 or a 1. A megabit is just over 1 million of those bits, and you're getting that amount per second. So 1 million bits per second, pretty decent amount. But the higher the megabits per second you have, the faster your download speed is. So we had 350 nearly megabits a second. That's really, really fast download speed. Before I changed to BT and I had my TalkTalk account, I got about 17 megabits a second, and I was still fast enough, but it's a bit slow, so I wanted to upgrade. And the more you do with your internet, the faster your megabits per second needs to be. So if you're doing a lot of streaming from Netflix, Amazon, YouTube, that kind of stuff, if you're watching a lot of that, playing a lot of online games as well, that's going to take up quite a lot of your bandwidth. So if you've only got a small amount, you're going to start getting lag. So if you're doing lots of things like that, it's good to have high bandwidth, so you can do all those things and your internet connection doesn't get slowed down. So that's bandwidth. Right, wired and wireless networks. So wired ones and wireless. Best things about each one and the bad things about each one. So wired networks, they're a lot faster. They're also more stable. You don't tend to get any cutouts, occasionally, but not very often. They're more reliable, and they're also more secure, because it's quite difficult for somebody to tap into the cable that goes into your house. It's doable, but it's not easy. But obviously, you need to be attached by a wire if you're going to use a wired connection. If you're not attached by a wire, it's not a wired connection. So that leaves wireless connections. Wireless connections are more portable, so you can wander around with them. If you've got your, if you connect by Wi-Fi to your router, you can wander around the house with them. That's fine. You can also do that if you've got a mobile phone network. You can go wherever, and it will give you connection. It is slower than a wired network. I mean, there's no way you'd ever get that 350 kilobits a second on a wireless network at the moment. So they are slower. They're also less stable. So although you get a decent speed at one point, that doesn't mean you'll get that speed the whole time. It kind of fluctuates quite a lot, whereas with a wired network, you normally get the same speed all the time. They're less reliable. They keep cutting out. You'll all have had that when you've been attaching to mobile networks. And they're also a bit less secure, because if you're working on a wireless network, especially if you've decided to attach to your router wirelessly by Wi-Fi, then it's quite easy. Anyone else can also get onto your router by Wi-Fi, and then they can possibly get into your network if they've got the skills to hack in. You've also got the range. If you're not in range of a cell tower, or you're not in range of your Wi-Fi router, then you're not going to be able to pick up any connection, or it's going to be very, very twitchy, very, very dodgy, a bit marginal. And also, anything to do with wireless can be affected by weather conditions. If the atmospheric conditions are wrong, it can start to interfere with the connection that you're getting over the sort of wireless transmissions, the radio frequencies. It can mess them up. Also, if you've got anything with high magnetic fields around, or electricity pylons, that kind of stuff, they can also cause interference with your wireless connections. Okay, before we go on to TCPIP, so we'll come back to this in a second, I need to talk to you about how the internet works. Now, to do that, this board is not going to be very useful, so I'm going to go over to another board by the magic of video editing. So let's go now. You bored? Okay, so how the internet works. There's a few steps to it. Break it down. It's not too tricky, so we'll go for it and see how we get on. So the whole point of the internet in this particular thing is you want to get from your PC, and I say PC, but it could be your mobile phone, it could be your tablet, anything else that's connected to the internet. But you start off at your PC and you want to get some information from either a web server, which is, we've talked about web servers already, places where you store lots of web pages and things like that. So you either want to get it from a web server that's somewhere else, or you want to attach to somebody else's PC that's somewhere else. And they're going to be on a completely different ISP, Internet Service Provider, different part of the world possibly, and we need to talk about how we're going to get there. So we start off by typing in whatever our web page is that we want to look at. And you have to go through the router first. So remember, the router is the thing that connects you to the internet. We already talked about that. So anything to the internet has to go through your router before it goes anywhere else. So you go from your computer to the router then connects to the internet, and it goes to your ISP, your Internet Service Provider, so BT or Sky or whoever that might be. Your ISP will have a POP, which is a point of presence. Point of presence is just somewhere where your ISP can connect to the internet itself. Gives it, so the ISP, although it's part of the internet, needs to connect to the main internet as well to get all your requests and all your information from the other parts of the world. So it uses a POP or point of presence to do that. So point of presence, somewhere where your ISP uses to connect to the internet. Now it will probably have quite a few of these. The more it has, the bigger your ISP is. So if you have one of the really, really small companies, they might only have one or two. If you have one of the big companies, they'll have hundreds. So once it's connected to you, it then needs to connect to the main internet backbone. Now, internet backbones are what ISPs use to talk to each other. It's what really big groups of companies use to connect to each other. So basically, it's the fastest way, the biggest way of getting from one part of the internet to the other. So it's the equivalent of having like a motorway. These are little back roads. This is the motorway. This can carry loads of information, very, very fast connections, hold loads and loads of data, and this is what you use to do most of the heavy lifting as far as travelling around your information is concerned. It goes through these backbones. And to connect to the backbone, the ISP will have a NAP, which stands for a Network Access Point. So the NAP is what the ISP uses to connect to the internet backbone, so it can send that information really, really fast. If it didn't connect to this, everything would be a lot slower. So it then connects to the backbone, so your information, when you said, I want to have this web page, is going down the backbone. It then finds the ISP that has the information that you want on it. So that ISP has another NAP, another Network Access Point, where it connects to the backbone. So the backbone, the information comes from the backbone into the ISP's area with the NAP, then goes to their point of presence on the internet that they have, and then goes to either a web server, which will have your information on, or it goes to a router, which is attached to a PC, where your information might be on. Once it's done that, and you've sent the request, so say, oh, I wanted this picture of a funny cat, or something like that, then it sends that information all the way back the same way, through the point of presence on the ISP, through the network access point, back up the backbone, to your own ISP, back through the NAT, out through the POP, to your router, and to your PC, where the information finally arrives. So that's how the internet works and all the bits you need to know about it. So it's the PCs, it's the routers, it's the ISP with the point of presence and the network access points, it's the backbones, and then the same at the other end. So those are the things you need to know about how the internet works. So, we can go back to the other board now. Right, we're back. TCPIP, said I'll come back to this afterwards, it's short for Transmission Control Protocol / Internet Protocol. And basically, it's a way of sending information from one computer to another computer on the internet. Now, it could just get the entire file and try and send it across in one go, but that's not very efficient. So what it does is it busts the whole thing up into different packets. The other word for this is packet switching. So it breaks up into lots of really small files called packets, and then what it will do is it will send them individually, those packets, to the computer that's going to. So if you, for instance, have an image of something, it will split that image into lots of different packets and then send the image to your computer. So if you've said you want to go to a website that's got some images on, so you maybe go onto Facebook, you want to look at somebody's photo, you want to download the photo, you click on it, click on the link, the web server that's the photo is on will then split that photo up into little packets and then send the packets to you. Now, each packet has a header and a trailer, so it's just like the start and end of that particular bit of data, and what they do is they say what the file is, where it's going, and it also says which particular bit of the file it is, because obviously if you're splitting stuff into pieces, you've got to reassemble it again on the other side, and they may not all get there in the right order. Then what it will do, when it sends the packets over the network, it will send it in lots of different ways, whichever is the easiest at the time, and the most efficient and fastest, and then once it gets to the other side, it will reassemble all of those things using the information in the header and the trailer. Now, it's not the easiest thing to explain on here, so we've got to go back to the other board again, just to finish this one off. So, here we go again. Right, back again. So, how does TCPIP work? We've done a quick explanation, but now for a bit more of a visual idea, because it's a little bit easier to understand that way. So you start off with a file, and you want to get your file from one place on the internet to another place on the internet. So this could be an image, it could be an audio file, it could be a video, anything that you want to send across the internet, it's going to be using the same process. So the first thing it does is it splits all of these different things, this file, splits it up into lots and lots and lots and lots of packets. The packets are absolutely tiny, very, very small bits of information, and there'll be thousands and thousands of them. So it splits them up and it puts information on each of them. So for each packet, so if this is your packet, you have a little header and you have a little trailer. That's the header. And that's the trailer. Now, what these do is these tell the computer, or these have the information about what the file is, where the file is going, and which one of these packets it is, so it knows what order it needs to be in. So once it's got that, and each one of these packets has got that information on them, it then sends them all to the place that it's going to. Now you might think, well, to be honest, it looks like the fastest way is just to go that one, to 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 that one, and we're there. And that's great. But if you think of these as all little tiny roads, if you put thousands and thousands of cars down one tiny little road, it's going to get congested and everything's going to slow down. So that's not necessarily the fastest way of doing things. So what it will do is if this bit starts to get congested, it will start sending people a different way. So it might go this way, because that's another fairly quick way. And it will keep doing that, and then all the different packets will go in different directions and different ways. Also, if all of a sudden there was some kind of nasty cyber attack and this bit got blown out, it's not a problem. It will just reroute it around a different way, and it will still get there. But obviously, because everything is going a different way, some of them will be quicker, some of them will be slower. So you end up with them arriving not in the same order as they left here. And that's why you have your header and your trailer. So once they've all arrived, it uses the information in the header and the trailer to put everything back in the right order again, and then it reforms your file and reassembles it on the other side. So, just to summarise, you get the file, breaks the whole lot up into separate packets. The packets then get sent across the internet, whichever way is easiest at the time. It will just do the fastest, most efficient route it can. And then at the other end, the packets all arrive, it reorders them using the information in the header and the trailer, and then it reassembles it into your final file. And there you are. That's how TCPIP works. Thank you very much. That's the end of the video. See you in the next one. Bye.